your role is? What is your contribution?
I feel my role is supporting my husband, and whenever I can, always being behind him, encouraging, and also, most important thing, being a mother and a wife.
July 29, 1981, felt like a dream. Nearly 1 billion people around the world watched as young Lady Diana Spencer became the Princess of Wales. Dressed in ivory silk with a 7-meter veil, she walked toward the altar like a fairy tale bride. But if you looked into her eyes, the dream began to crack. There was no sparkle, only doubt, fear, and a slight tremble in her gloved hand, which would later be edited out of the official footage of the ceremony. Waxing crescent moon. On her first night at Buckingham Palace as a princess, Diana asked to sleep alone. She claimed exhaustion. When the maid approached to take her sapphire earrings, she found Diana standing in front of the mirror, motionless, watching her reflection coldly. "Are you all right, Your Highness?" the maid asked. Diana replied without looking away from the mirror. "They chose me because I'm compliant. But they forgot that flowers have thorns." New moon. In the weeks that followed the wedding, Diana kept a diary. Hidden between pages of poetry and notes about official events were dark fragments like this one. "I woke up with the taste of blood in my mouth. Dreamed of hands pulling me down into dark water. I woke up with Charles beside me, but he didn't even look at me." Internal reports say Diana refused to sleep with the lights off. She had extra locks installed on her bedroom door. More than once, she asked that the mirrors be covered at night. Some maids claimed to hear muffled sobs coming from her room. Others swore she talked to herself, repeating the same phrase. "They want me quiet, silent, like the walls." Waning crescent moon. In September 1981, Diana fainted publicly during an event in Wales. The official explanation was exhaustion. But what wasn't known was that, hours earlier, she had argued with Charles after finding a secret gift from Camilla Parker Bowles, a bracelet engraved with the initials F and G for Fred and Gladys, the couple's nicknames. That night, she wrote in her diary, "The prison is invisible, but it's everywhere. The food tastes like surveillance. I feel like a lab mouse. They watch everything. Even my smiles." She began hiding small notes around the house, in books, behind paintings, inside cupboards, as if she wanted to leave clues. One day, a gardener found one tucked inside a porcelain vase near the private garden. It read, "If I disappear, it wasn't an accident. They want an heir, not a thinking princess." Last quarter moon. To the world, Diana was a charismatic, beloved young princess. But inside the palace, something invisible...
But if I tripped up, which invariably I did, because I was new at the game, a ton of bricks came down on me. Well, anything good I ever did, nobody ever said a thing. Never said well done, or was it okay?
Unsettling was growing. A quiet paranoia that wrapped around her like a veil of mist. She started writing down names, times, whispers. She created her own code in the diary, symbols and drawings only she could understand. When a close friend asked why, she replied, "I'm preparing for when everything falls apart. Because it will. You'll see." And then came the note. Dated November 1981. Addressed to no one. Kept inside a blue velvet box beneath her bed. "The crown doesn't shine. It burns. And I won't come out of this unscathed." Diana began avoiding public dinners. She changed her bedroom phone 3 times in a month. She ordered all the mirrors to be covered. A maid reported that she taped over electrical outlets and keyholes, believing they could be used for visual or audio surveillance. One night, her room alarm went off. The guards found the door locked from the inside. When they finally managed to open it, they saw Diana lying on the floor, surrounded by strips of newspaper arranged in a perfect circle. She said, "Every headline is written by them. The words tell false stories, but the order they appear in reveals the truth. At the center of the circle, a message. The raven warned me, there will be an accident. With a date, but no time. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, no return address, delivered by unknown hands. The black envelope bore an embossed seal of a raven. Inside, on fine paper, the Queen of Sad Eyes is marked. The air is safe, but the messenger must be silenced. They have plans. Trust no one in uniform, not even the ones who smile. It was signed only, The Raven. Thomas tried to trace the letter's origin. No luck. Even the gate camera had been turned off that night. Diana began using the term raven as a code word in her writings, always capitalized. Not long after, Diana arranged a private meeting with a psychic, the same one the Queen had quietly dismissed back in the 1960s. During the session, the woman allegedly said, "You're surrounded by shadows. Not of the dead, but of the living. Someone very close to you lies every day." Diana replied calmly, "It's not someone. It's the entire system." She then made a request to the medium. "Teach me how to protect my mind. They want to break me from the inside out." Thomas found another note weeks later, hidden inside a broken fountain pen. It was brief, written in red ink. "They did it to Margaret. They're trying with me now. But I won't disappear with a whisper." The year was 1985. Diana was no longer the inexperienced young princess. She had already given birth to William and Harry. She already knew how to smile in silence while being betrayed at dinners and ignored at public events. She had mastered the art of appearing happy under the spotlight, and of writing at midnight with tears in her eyes. But a subtle change had begun to take shape. Diana had decided to resist. And her resistance wouldn't be through words, it would be through information. With the help of Thomas, the butler, Diana began cataloging strange patterns. Anonymous late-night phone calls, with silence on the other end. Black cars parked near Kensington's gates for hours. Misplaced documents, especially calendars and letters exchanged with activists from controversial causes, like landmine victims and HIV advocacy. People close to her dismissed without explanation. She began drawing diagrams, circles, dates, and code names. Along the paper edges, she wrote phrases like, "The truth is in what's not printed in the papers. What isn't said is what weighs the most." Thomas warned her, they were going too far. She stared him down and replied, "I'm fighting a war. Invisible, yes, but just as real as any bomb." In July of that year, Diana discreetly hired a private investigator from outside the UK. His name, James F. Halley, former MI5, expelled for exposing unethical practices within British intelligence. The objective, find out if official surveillance was happening inside her residence. Halley returned with a disturbing report. 3 phones in the private wing had been compromised. 2 hidden cameras were found, one of them pointed directly at Prince Harry's crib. 2 of Diana's personal security guards were actually tabloid informants. One of them had direct ties to an editor close to the palace. James delivered everything in an envelope labeled, "Operation Mirror." They're trying to provoke a collapse. Not physical, mental. They want you to scream, to break down. So they can call you fragile, unstable. Then make you disappear under the guise of psychiatric care, Halley said coldly. Diana replied, "They forgot I was born without a crown. And that's why I'm not afraid to lose it." In November, Diana recorded a tape. No makeup. No glamour. Just her, speaking directly to the camera, as if she knew her words would one day be found. "If you're watching this, something has happened. Maybe I've disappeared. Maybe they made it look like an accident. But you need to know, there is a machine operating behind the monarchy. It doesn't serve the royals. It serves fear. They manipulate the media, the laws, even memory. And I'm not the first. Margaret, Alice, even Sarah was silenced, in another way. Real women are not allowed. Only obedient dolls. According to Thomas, that tape was sent to 2 trusted journalists. One died of a sudden heart attack in 1986. The other vanished from the public 6 months later. The tape was never found. January 1986. Another message arrived. Dark red envelope. No seal. Inside, a single sentence. Time is narrowing. The circle is closing. A bridge or a tunnel, the end will be the same. The Raven. Diana sat in silence for almost an hour after reading it. Then said to Thomas, "They've already chosen my ending. But I won't let them write the whole story." As she grew closer to social and humanitarian causes, Diana began receiving unofficial warnings. She was asked to moderate her actions, especially concerning her campaign against landmines, a cause threatening UK military contracts. One night, an unidentified man in a dark suit entered Kensington through the back door and had a private meeting with Charles. Diana listened at the door, silently. She only caught one sentence. "She no longer serves our purpose. She's out of control." That was when Diana understood that her public image was her only weapon. She began to plan her escape, strategically. Secret interviews, friendships with independent journalists, and the creation of a new project. The Princess Outside the System, a symbolic title for a journal in which she planned to reveal everything. The final entry in that notebook, written in shaky letters with a nearly empty pen, reads, "They want a broken woman. I'll give them a legend." The months that followed were the most dangerous of Diana's life. The princess who had long been imprisoned by whispers and shadows was now walking into the heart of a storm she herself had helped to unleash. She had met Dodi Al-Fayed one summer in 1996, a man who seemed different from the others. To Diana, Dodi was a refuge, an escape from the weight of the crown and the cold games of the palace. But there was something more, something she felt but couldn't explain. He seemed to carry secrets as heavy as her own. Dodi was not just a wealthy Egyptian lover, he was the son of Mohammed Al-Fayed, a man with powerful enemies in the world of politics and international intelligence. When Diana and Dodi grew closer, a web of conspiracies began to unravel. In private conversations, Diana spoke about having discovered a series of confidential documents implicating high-ranking members of MI6, the British intelligence agency, in illegal operations to control the royal family's image and eliminate problematic elements. She said these documents proved something terrifying. There is a division within the Secret Service called the Raven Guard. They do not protect the crown. They manipulate it, censor it, and eliminate any internal threat. It doesn't matter if the threat is blue blood or commoner. Diana frequently mentioned the so-called red boxes, secret files containing evidence of corruption, betrayals, and assassination plans disguised as accidents. According to her, these boxes were kept not only at Buckingham Palace but also in an underground vault in France, where the Al-Fayed family had business interests. She believed her life was in danger precisely because she was close to exposing these boxes to the world. In a letter to a close friend, she wrote, "What's inside those boxes could topple kings and presidents. I carry a ticking time bomb, and time is running out." During the last few months, Diana secretly recorded her conversations and reflections on cassette tapes hidden in different locations. In one tape, her voice trembled as she spoke. "I feel like they're watching me every moment. Not just MI6, but hidden groups within the government who fear me opening my mouth. They don't just want to silence a woman. They want to erase her story." Another recording revealed Diana was aware of a plot to manipulate her death, planned to look like a car accident. She said the tunnel in Paris wasn't just an accident, but a ritual. According to Diana, the Alma tunnel, where her life was taken, held hidden symbolism. Alma is the name of a river, and the tunnel runs beneath it. Water symbolizes the passage between worlds, life and death. It was said that in ancient rituals, the end of the passage marked the closing of cycles and the sacrifice of those who threatened the established order. She believed the accident was carefully planned to happen at that specific location, at a time when the cameras were off and secret agents were already in position to manipulate the scene. Diana also mentioned an invisible hand operating behind the scenes of global politics, a kind of dark power manipulating international events, wars, scandals, deaths, to maintain the balance of the system. She was certain her involvement with causes like landmines, AIDS, and her growing popularity threatened this system, which needed absolute control over public figures to prevent social revolutions. Diana believed her voice could inspire the fall of this dark empire, and for that, she had to be silenced. In the weeks leading up to her death, Diana was planning a global event, an exclusive interview with an American journalist, where she intended to reveal to the world the connections between the monarchy, intelligence services, and corporations profiting from war and suffering. Dodi was part of that plan, helping gather evidence and contacts to ensure the interview would be broadcast live, uncensored. But, as we know, that broadcast never happened. The day before her trip to Paris, Diana wrote in her diary, "Tomorrow, the veil will be torn. Either they silence me forever, or I make the world wake up." The accident in the Alma tunnel ended the official narrative. But for those who believed Diana's messages, that day the system silenced not just a princess, but a truth that still haunts the halls of power to this day. The silence after the accident was overwhelming. The world's press bowed in mourning, the royal family rehearsed public compassion, and millions of fans wept the loss of the people's princess. But behind the golden curtains of power, something was still stirring. Thomas, the butler who had accompanied Diana during her last years, never believed the official version. He kept, hidden in an old safe, the diaries, tapes, and letters Diana had entrusted to him. Documents that revealed a web of manipulation, espionage, and betrayal. Over time, Thomas tried to bring this evidence to journalists and authorities. However, most of them disappeared, were discredited, or simply fell silent. The force Diana called the Raven Guard proved impenetrable. He even received anonymous threats whispering that some secrets are paid for in blood. Meanwhile, in London, rumors began to circulate about a secret group, the Raven Circle, made up of former intelligence agents, aristocrats, and politicians who manipulated the fate of nations behind palaces and parliaments. According to unconfirmed reports, Diana had uncovered their operations, plans to control successions, scandals, and even coups d'état. Her relationship with Dodi was not just a romance but an attempt to join forces to expose this circle. In 1997, shortly before her death, Diana recorded her final message. "If I disappear, look beyond the mirrors. Look for the Raven. He is the key and the warning. The truth is closer than we think, but also more hidden than we ever imagined." Thomas still keeps that tape today, knowing its contents could forever change the history of the monarchy and the United Kingdom, but it could also ignite a crisis never seen before. What really happened that night in the Alma tunnel? Was it just a tragic accident caused by impatient paparazzi and rushed drivers, or was there an invisible, cold, and calculating hand that decided the world wasn't ready to hear Diana's truth? And if such a hand exists, who holds the reins of this dark power that the crown will never admit?